Hello and welcome back to Dukascopy TV. Now here at the TV Centre, we're always looking to bring you the very latest in financial research, and today is no different. Joining me in the studio is Lesley Griffiths from Deloitte. Lesley, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Now I understand that Deloitte have just released its annual IFRS survey. What exactly does this cover?
Well, our survey covers a sample of 30 companies listed on the Swiss Stock Exchange, which prepare their financial statements in accordance with IFRS. And what we're looking for is to compare the annual report disclosures of these companies to look for trends or areas of significant divergence. And this year we went even further, in fact, looking at how these companies communicate with their investors and with other stakeholders, particularly with regards to current economic climate. And we compared some of our results with those of companies in France, Germany and the UK.
And what were the most significant of your findings?
Well, the period under review has been difficult for the global economy, and Western Europe has been particularly hit by, for example, low GDP growth, falling equity prices, volatility in foreign exchange markets, and the impact of the Eurozone debt crisis. And Switzerland hasn't been immune to these challenges. In fact, for the companies in our sample, we identified that there'd been, on average, a decline in revenue growth and in operating margins compared to the prior year. In part, this is due to the enduring strength of the Swiss franc, of course. We also identified that the number of companies recording impairment of their goodwill balances had increased compared to last year, with the total charge being around 2 billion Swiss francs, or 2% of total value. So the companies in our sample tended to disclose current economic conditions as being challenging rather than a really strong curb on their performance. And indeed, some companies mentioned that recent events have also provided them with new opportunities.
You mentioned there the Swiss franc. How has the strong Swiss franc impacted company reporting?
Well, all of the companies in our sample presented revenue growth in their narrative reporting on a constant currency basis, so excluding the impact of exchange rate movements. Calculating revenue growth on this basis resulted in an average growth across our sample of around 12% compared to 5% in the reported figures. And in almost all cases, the companies in their narrative reporting specifically mentioned the negative impact of the strong Swiss franc on their reported performance.
And you also mentioned earlier that the report also investigated how companies communicate with their shareholders. Now, given the current economic climate, communication really is key. What did your study find in this area?
Well, we were surprised to notice a certain disconnect between the presentations made to analysts, investors and other stakeholders and the figures included in the IFRS financial statements. It seems to us that, certainly for companies in our sample, IFRS figures aren't sufficient to allow management to really tell the story of the year. And this was particularly noticeable when it comes to cash flows, but also to a lesser extent the measures of operating performance that were given.
Lesley, that's all we've got time for right now, but thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
For all of your technical analysis, stay tuned to Dukascopy TV. For now though, goodbye.